Hey everyone, Nubkeks here, and welcome to Raid Leader Review of Mythic Sun King Salvation. I have literally come from just recording the Enerva Darkvein one, and it's quite funny because whereas Enerva Darkvein, I would say, as a boss, is notoriously lacking in any real sort of strategy or tactics, this boss is extremely strategy intensive, and you can make this fight significantly easier for yourselves if you play it smart. So if I click on through and we let this play through, let me explain broadly speaking what we're doing, and then I'll show you our specific assignments. Um, there's a lot that happens here. Essentially, for this first phase one, you have to heal Kael'thas up here up to 45% health. Okay, and we want to do this preferably in about 45 seconds. 50 seconds max is kind of what we're looking for. And that way we actually skip the first rockbound vanquisher spawning in. And we're going to be doing a similar thing in phase 2. We need to stack a lot of cooldowns to make this happen. We need to be very smart in terms of what we're doing. Excuse me. And this will essentially enable us to skip a lot of what else is making this fight difficult, right? A lot of that we're simply skipping. But again, it's hard to do. In terms of our, you can see we're approaching Shade of Kael'thas soon, so we're actually a little bit slow. We're like 2 seconds off this guy spawning in. There we go, Shade of Kael'thas incoming. And by the way, you want to keep this guy alive until the Shade of Kael'thas is incoming, and then finish him off. So this is perfect timing in terms of killing him. Okay, basically, if you kill him later, if you kill him too quickly, it makes the ads spawn in faster. So you don't want to you don't want that to happen. We're trying to skip all the ads. So leave him alive as late as possible. Again, this is the perfect kill timing. So what are we doing here? What's going on? Well, we've got a number of stuff going on. If I show you our healing rotation here, and if I zoom into this, so it's easier to see, this is what we've got going on. Broadly speaking, this is not 100% accurate, but it's mostly accurate. So the actual specs that you have, the classes that you have are really important. Holy Priest. We have 2 Holy Priests. This is very important. Mistweaver Monk, despite probably being the worst healer overall in the entire game right now, is actually extremely good on this fight as well. Holy Paladin is fine, and then Resto Shamans are great as well. I'd say for most Mythic guilds, you hopefully will have 2 priests that are able to play Holy. They don't need to be Holy mains or anything like that. I main Shadow, and he mains Disc. But you can just play Holy for this fight. And then Resto Shamans are really good too. So on pull, we're going to go in, right? We're going to go in. I am going to Guardian Angel the boss. I actually cast Holy Word Serenity first, which is a mistake. Don't do that. But we go in on pull, and we're essentially stacking a whole ton of healing CDs. So I'm going to put Guardian Angel on the boss. Guardian Angel with a conduit is going to increase the healing that the boss takes by roughly 80% for about 12 seconds. So that is why 2 Holy Priests are so insane. In fact, even more Holy Priests would probably work really well. We're also both running the Power Infusion Legendary. I'm not 100% sure if this is the absolute best thing, but I mean, again, nobody or very few people are going to be maining Holy Priest for Mythic. You know, you're more likely to be playing Discipline Priest or Shadow for me. So we're using the Power Infusion Legendary, which is very good for this. It essentially lets us power infuse somebody else and get power infusion on ourselves as well. So we're both using that. It's very good for Disc and for Shadow anyway. So we have it anyway. So that is what I think you should probably use. And just check out basically all the healers are going for max single target throughput burst single target healing to get as much healing into the boss as we possibly can. So yeah, on pull, Guardian Angel on the boss, like Paladin pop wings, the Shaman's going into Ascendance, Monk is invoking Yu'lon and just doing crazy single target healing as Mistweaver monks can do. And yeah, then I'm going to power infuse the Monk. We also have an Innervate on the Monk. Then we also have a Power Infuse and an Innervate going on the Shaman. So we've got 4 of our 5 healers are Power Infused. 2 of them have Innervates. There's a Guardian Angel on the boss, and we're absolutely blasting. So that's like the stuff on pull, just going maximum. Okay, both of the priests as well going Apotheosis. And yeah, you're just blasting that single target healing, getting as much into the boss as is possible to do. The next thing that comes in is And again, for the what are the DPS doing in the meantime? Again, the DPS are doing basically nothing important at all at this point. They're just AoEing down some mobs without using CDs, apart from fire mages and warrior can use CDs, but nobody else should. So yeah, that's essentially what's going on there. You just need to kick those ads, make sure they're grouped up. Our group was notoriously bad at it. As you can see, you basically have these 4 occultists, and this is very important for the next section, because when these occultists die, they drop essence fonts. So I'm not sure what issues we had. That's something I need to review for the next night for a re-clear on this boss, but we seem to have issues with killing 3 of the occultists, but not the 4th one at the right time. You want to get all these essence fonts healed up at the same time, because here we go. So this is where the ads should all be dead. I don't know why this should not happen. This is really bad play. All 4 occultists should be dead. There should not be an occultist at 10% health, let alone at 36%. So that's really, really bad. But essentially, this is why this is important. Around 18 seconds into the fight, the ads should all be dead. Okay, and these essence fonts should be dropped. Which syncs up really nicely with the Resto Shaman healing from Cloudburst, the Resto Shaman healing from Ascendance ending, and all of that stuff as well. So this is excellent, right? And then we've got our next set of healing stuff comes in about 18 seconds in. So we're going to have another GA on the boss. We're going to drop a healing tide. I'm going to do a hymn, and then we're going to have people start channeling the fonts. So the font groups, you can see we've got these set up. This doesn't massively matter who you put in. You're basically putting DPS into these because there's nothing to DPS at this point, and then like the rest of the DPS slowly kill off this guy. And the reason we're doing this is we want these essence fonts. These essence fonts do an insane amount of healing to the boss. So we have a divine hymn will be coming in soon, and we have the healing tide. Those are there to help top up these fonts. We also should be, I think, dropping Holy Word Sanctify on these fonts as well from the Holy Priest to try top them up. And again, with the second Guardian Angel on the boss, we want that Guardian Angel to boost the healing of all 4 Essence Fonts by 80%, to boost the healing of these pedestals by 80%. So that's sort of the theory right there. So yeah, okay, I've dropped a Sanctify in the boss. That's good. Going into a hymn then to help top these up. So like you can see, this one is slow. So this is the issue here. You can see this Essence Font, because the DPS, we're struggling to do nothing really. This Essence Font is going to be healed slower than the other ones, which means it's going to miss the Guardian Angel, which is actually quite a lot of missed healing. Now, we will still make it, but that's the sort of thing that you want to be pretty clean, right? You want to get those occultists stacked up and kill them all together. And again, have it all synced up with the GA. What we did is we had our font groups. We had them just channeled to 4 stacks. This basically takes you all the way through to around about now, about 45 seconds in. In fact, it's going to go a little bit longer than that. They're actually going to go all the way up to the end of the phase. So we've got three sets of 4 people, each getting 4 stacks. It should take you pretty much to the end of the phase, starting from when the ads die at around about 18 seconds. About 9-second channel each. Okay. Once that's done, great. We're going to basically do that again for the second P1. Now we're coming into P2. So the goal with P2, this is the Shade of Kelthus phase. So it's funny. It's the opposite way around, right? So in P1, you're looking to use all of your healing cooldowns and none of your DPS cooldowns. In P2, this is where we're using all of our DPS cooldowns and really none of our healing CDs. Very quickly, we did have a few, like just AMZ and Link and Aura and Rally, which are not going to help you heal the boss. There's a revival stuck in there as well. I could probably get rid of that, to be honest. But yeah, we're looking to use these CDs. This is just to mitigate these Ember Blasts, right? So you'll see the first Ember Blast coming up here in a second. This is the timer here. You just want to drop these behind the boss. And essentially what you should be doing is have the boss here near the edge of the room, but not at the edge. So here's perfect. You'd move him like along this line roughly. We can drop the first Ember Blast like here. And then you're looking for these blazing surges. This is going to target a random player and leave a lot of fire on the ground. So what we should be doing is kind of drop the first Ember Blast here, then move against the wall to bait the Ember Surge from the boss into the wall. After that, the boss just moves a bit deeper in. DPS move along the wall. Tanks move along the inside of the room so that the boss does his frontal towards the inside where nobody is, and you should be good, right? So Ember Blast is coming in. Here we go. So drop it here behind the boss. That's fine. And then we just move in to bait the thing into the wall. The tank should be facing the boss this way. The tanks are facing the boss the wrong way, which is going to do some avoidable damage to the group that we don't want. So there's the Blazing Surge. So again, just move out of the Blazing Surge. You're over here at the edge. Tank's facing him inwards, not out like this. He's also over moved. He doesn't need to be moved this far at all. Okay, we've got two other things happening here. The first thing I'll cover, which is a bit more simple, which is these Phoenixes. So these Phoenixes just fixate a player. It doesn't particularly matter who they fixate because everyone's moving stacked as a group anyway. And you just want, in this case, I had one of the Druids assigned to manage the knockbacks on this. So that's the best thing that you can do. Balanced Druids, Typhoon, Ursol's Vortex. You should hopefully have 2 Holy Priests, in which case you've got 2 Shining Force. They can cast a Shining Force on a Druid to knock stuff really far back from them. Ring of Peace if you've got any monks. Yeah, you should have tons of knockbacks. Tons and tons of knockbacks to manage these guys. Keep them slowed as well permanently. The best slow you can do is Chains of Ice from Death Knights. It does cost them quite a bit of damage though, but just basically whenever they come in range of the boss, if you have 2 DKs, just have one of them, have one assigned to each Phoenix. The Phoenix should be auto-marked, and they just put a Chains of Ice on that. I think we decided not to bother with that, and I think we had an Affliction Warlock running the Corruption Slow Legendary that put Corruption on these to help slow them down. You can see Ring of Peace, but yeah, just have a rotation, have it called out clearly, so it's just, you don't need to really worry about it, and you just go and do the thing. Like I said, I mean, one Balanced Druid can have his own Typhoon, his own Ursol's Vortex, and he can get 2 Shining Force on him, and that's going to do half the thing anyway. The other big thing that's happening here is Cloak of Flames. So you're going to get 2 of these per phase. This is really important. We split up our DPS like this. We had Hunters and Fire Mages on the first one, and then we essentially had everyone else on the second. So Arms Warriors, Sub Rogue, Unholy DK, Balanced Druids, Affliction Warlocks, Ellie Shaman, whatever. You essentially want to split your raid half and half to use all of their cooldowns on each of these shields. So you're going to get 2 shields. You need to break each one. You have 6 seconds to break them. If you don't break the shield, your entire raid wipes, right? And again, this should carry over pretty much into your second phase 2. Your second phase 2, again, we did it again, like you saw, we basically did 2-minute cooldowns on the first shield, 3 minutes on the second. They will be back in phase 2 again. So again, here we've got an Ember Blast. This comes right after. So drop the Ember Blast, just move around to the side, bait the Blazing Surge, move around. 10 seconds. And yeah, again, it should be faced more towards the middle of the room. We've got loads of space here. Don't need to worry about it too much. Second Cloak of Flames is coming in. This is the important part, really. This is where people are going to struggle, is having the DPS to beat these. With this one, it's good to drop this one a bit further back so it goes straight into the Cloak of Flames. It just means melee can just stand there and smack them. They don't need to be moving around. Move out of the Blazing Surge. People baited this a little bit badly. And then the tank is facing him towards the wall instead towards the middle of the room, so it hits half the raid, which is a lot of damage, which is actually going to persist through, I think, a good chunk of the phase, which isn't great. Again, we should be moving at the wall. Thing face into the middle. Now at the end of this phase, this is a little optimization that we had, which is we threw down a Windrush at the end, and then we have our font groups go right away at the start of the phase, because there's no ads here, right? It takes a while for this Rockbound Vanquisher to arrive, so you essentially want your font groups, at least the first 2 sets, to get a bit of a channel in. The third set, they probably don't have time. That's okay. But the first 2 sets, you want to have them basically have a go. So you can see coming into this, in terms of 2-minute cooldowns are back, 3-minute ones are not quite back, right? Because we're 2 minutes 30 into the fight. You can see just how much we're being chunked because of those boss frontals are handled really badly. Your goal here is to push the boss before these set of ads, right? So you're going to get the Vanquisher that spawns on pull. You'll get 1 set of Occultists. You'll get 1 set of Assassins. You're going to have to do 1 healing shield, which is the shield that goes on the boss that needs to be healed through this time. And then you're going to get 1 set of Pestering Fiends. And then you need to heal the boss to 90% before the Vanquisher or the Soul Infusers spawn, which means you just don't have to deal with these, which makes the fight significantly easier. So again, we're essentially using our healing CDs the same way to deal with this. We're going to come into the fight. The stuff that we used on pull, we're going to use on this first Cloak of Flames. You can see that for us, with our particular timings, the Cloak of Flames is going to be at 258, so it's not perfectly synced up with the stuff we used on pull, so it's 0, 0, 0. The 3-minute cooldowns aren't quite going to be back up, but they're going to be back close enough that it's still, broadly speaking, going to work. Certainly, we'll have Power Infusion and Apotheosis and that sort of stuff back. The Paladin will have Wings, blah, blah, blah. You can use Lay on Hands on this as well once. and stuff like that to sort of min-max it a little bit. We're going to throw a Mind Games out. Cool, there we go. What we did then is we have Bloodlust used here as well. So we're going to use Bloodlust about 5 seconds before the Cloak of Flames, just to clear through that Cloak of Flames, and that Bloodlust will take us through essentially the entire rest of this phase 1, right? And it's just going to help the healers just pump throughput and get through, because again, the CDs don't line up as perfectly. Again, I keep doing this mistake. I need to put GA on first instead of and then follow up with Serenity instead of the other way around. You can see that, okay, for us, that was the Cloak. We actually beat it super fast. No problem. So we got the Cloak of Flames. In fact, let's go for the exact timer. We beat it really, really quickly. So we actually ended up, for us, we actually ended up delaying certain things. So we actually ended up delaying our power infusions a little bit, just so that well, I don't even know. I don't think it really matters. I would just use them on the Cloak, to be honest. But yeah, some of the healers were complaining. But there you go. We cleared it with like 2 seconds, so we absolutely blitzed through it. The healers wanted it synced up with Innervate, so that's why we delayed it to like 3:05. I think it is suboptimal though. Like, it doesn't really matter. The power infusion is longer than Innervate anyway, so I would just use the power infusions like on the Cloak. Just use all your stuff on the Cloak. You got 1 GA goes on the Cloak. So yeah, like I said, it's literally a carbon copy of that first set, right? You're gonna have on pull, you're gonna be doing all your big stuff here. And then on the heal shield, you're going to do the exact same. But this time you're going to have Bloodlust to compensate for the fact that things like Invoke Yu'lon, Innervate, and stuff won't quite be back. Him won't quite be back. That's fine. And then the exact same as before, you're going to do a second set of CDs minus the font groups. You go at the start of the phase instead. But the second set of your CDs, those are coming in once the ads have died. In particular, the Vile Occultists. So once those Vile Occultists have died, that's when we want to pop these things. So again, the Vile Occultists, they drop all of the all these jars, which you'll see show up in the list here. And what do these essence fonts? What do they do? These do massive healing to the boss. If you do this right, the essence fonts should do more healing to the boss than any of your healers. Like even the Mistweaver Monk, like Mistweaver Monk maybe could rival them, but that's about it. Just barely. Like Mistweaver Monk with absolutely everything being funneled into them, all pure single target healing. The amount of healing they do to the boss will only barely maybe not even beat this. So again, we want to have it like a Divine Hymn to top him up. Divine Hymn also increases healing taken by 10%. So having that on the boss is also really nice. You want a GA stacked with this. And again, you want this Divine Hymn, Healing Tide, whatever. You want that stuff there to help top up these essence fonts, because those are going to give you that final push you need. Look at his health just chunk up there with those essence fonts with that GA. Really nice. Push him through and beat the spawn of the second Vanquisher. So then going into the second phase, we did get the second Vanquisher. That's fine, but we beat the Soul Infusers, which is important. If the Soul Infusers spawn, you're fucked. It's game over. We got the Vanquisher. You can live with that. You prefer to get him before the Vanquisher, but it's not the end of the world. You can get away with it. It's not the end of the world. Finish off the first Vanquisher, obviously. You can finish off the rest of the ads. Somewhat important, but not crazy important. And then we're coming in. Oh, one thing I forgot to mention, but the Phoenixes persist from phase 1. So you can have the 2 Phoenixes from phase 1 plus 2 Phoenixes from phase 2. It's not hard to deal with, though. It's not hard to deal with. A little bit more stress on DKs if they have to put Chains of Ice on 2 targets each, or 4 targets if it's 1 DK. That's probably too much, which is why we didn't bother. We went with the Affliction Warlock instead. But yeah, just keep them slowed and knocked back. It's not that hard. And you've got tons of space here towards the end. The important thing for the first one of these phase 2s is that you don't get any fire over the fonts, because you need people to go in and click those healing fonts. You don't want them to get in the way, and you want to sort of minimize the amount of space that's taken up. Here you can see that the boss is actually being taunted into fire by an earth elemental, so that was not so good. But yeah, you handle this one essentially the exact same as the second one. You're going to just move the boss around the edge. You can move him around the edge of the fire. You can move him around the edge of the walls. It really doesn't matter. Just drop the Ember Blast behind him, bait the Blazing Surge, move out of the bait, and then DPS CDs for the Cloak of Flames. 2-minute CDs coming in on the Cloak 1. You could probably kill him before the second Cloak. There's 30 seconds between each Cloak. But the 3-minute CDs will be back for the second Cloak anyway, pretty much. So you should be fine. You can use damage potions on this phase if you need to. If you don't need Bloodlust to heal through the second P1 healing phase, now we did need Bloodlust there to beat it. It's very hard to beat that. But if you don't, you could Bloodlust here and probably kill him with just one Cloak of Flames. That could work. In which case, you might use 3-minute CDs on the first shield and 2 minutes on the second, so that all CDs are back for the first shield in the second P2. But yeah, you essentially handle it exactly the same. Combat pots. It's easier to push him this time because he's an execute. So, I mean, like, all the marksmanship hunters get a bit of execute damage. The fire mages have execute. Arms warrior obviously is execute. Unholy DK. We actually only barely beat that shield. That was pretty close. So that was a little sketchy. Yeah. And again, you're just moving him around. And you just need to kill him before the third Cloak of Flames. And that's basically it. You don't even need to get him to 0%. I think he dies early. I was actually trying... I fucked that up. I should have moved sooner. I was trying to die there because I'm a priest. So I just become immune to damage and can heal. Spam heal. For free. You know, when you die with your spirit form. Spirit of Redemption, but I fucked that up. So yeah, you can see that he actually dies at like 1% or whatever. And then he's just... don't die, and he'll phase through. Cool, easy. And there you go. So that's the fight. Like I said, it's fairly challenging. You need to have DPS CDs assigned, and they need to be used properly. And then it's really about maximizing the healing throughput of your healers, stacking as many cooldowns together as you can, and then again making sure that you get those essence fonts used properly, both the ones that you click at the front of the room and the ones that get dropped on the ground. Maximizing those as well with guardian angels, healing trinkets, whatever, all that stuff. Pump it through. Speed strategy makes the fight quite easy. As you can see, it's very simple, especially for DPS. Like, I'm a DPS player, what am I doing through this fight? Almost nothing, to be honest. You're kind of just sitting around. Oh, obviously as well, like druids should, you know, go Resto Affinity and Heart of the Wild. I forget what it's called. Whatever. They should, Aspect of Hearts, I don't know, whatever it's called, they should pop all the off healing, whatever Rest or Shaman can help out. Prop Paladin, incredible healing on the boss. They do so much in that first P1, so you can save some mana there. Prop Paladins will pump out some healing, and then whatever, like Rep Paladins can be dropping Lay on Hands and off heals on Shade of Occultists the whole way through as well. All of that healing adds up. That's the biggest challenge. There you go, guys. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.